Hi, my name is Mike Gant. This is episode 13. Of course, if you've been through the first 12, you already know that I'm Mike Gant and don't need to be told. But in case you're somebody else, that's who I am. And you can find on the website why I'm doing this and all that related stuff. But we're here to talk about decision making. This is the second episode. The first one we read about a man named Nabal and his wife named Abigail. And we're going to read about them some more today because we got about halfway through their story last time. We're in 1 Samuel 25, and today we're going to read before we read verses 2 through 17, and today we're going to read 18 through 38. So if you haven't, I won't take the time to review it here. So if you need that, go back and if you didn't get that, go back and get what's in episode 12, the one before this one, and episode 11. And we pick it up in verse 18. Then Abigail hurried and took 200 loaves of bread and 2 jugs of wine and 5 sheep already prepared, and 5 measures of roasted grain, and 100 clusters of raisins, and 200 cakes of figs, and loaded them on donkeys. So David's got all these men. Obviously, they're all hungry. They've been out in the field. So she's getting a lot of stuff together. Her husband's a well-off man. They must have a nice spread there. And so she pulls a big feast together. Verse 19, she said to her young men, "Go on before me. Behold, I am coming after you." But she did not tell her husband Nabal. And we'll see why. Although you probably already know. You can imagine. Verse 20, it came about as she was riding on her donkey and coming down by the hidden part of the mountain that behold, David and his men were coming down toward her. So she met them. Now remember, they're going to take care of business with Nabal because Nabal refused to give them some help when they said they needed it. Verse 21, now David had said, "Surely in vain I have guarded all that this man has in the wilderness, so that nothing was missed of all that belonged to him. And he has returned me evil for good." So see, David and his men had been there. David was looking out for Nabal because he was a fellow Jew, he and Abigail. And Nabal had just acted like a knucklehead. Verse 22, may God do so to the enemies of David and more also, if by morning I leave as much as one male of any who belong to him. When Abigail saw David, she hurried. She did not take her own sweet time. She hurried and dismounted from her donkey and fell on her face before David and bowed herself to the ground. She fell because she was a wise woman. She had enough sense to know, okay, here's a military man. He's been trifled with. He is not going to waste any time. He's going to, I might get out of here, but I'm not going to have a husband. I'm not going to have any helpers, male helpers to do the work. I'm going to be in a real fix here. Verse 24, she fell at his feet and said, "On me alone, my Lord, be the blame. And please let your maidservant speak to you, and listen to the words of your maidservant. Please do not let my Lord pay attention to this worthless man, Nabal." Now you say, well, she's speaking disrespectfully about her husband. Well, she's trying to save his life. So she's throwing away all the formalities, all the courtesies, and she's just stating the truth. Don't pay attention to this worthless man Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. Now that name, Nabal, comes from a Hebrew word meaning worthless. Now, why someone would name their child that, I don't know. I would imagine it just, it's like a child being named Ruby today. It doesn't mean that she looks red like a ruby, but the name was close. It was close enough that David knew what she was talking about. That the Hebrew word she's talking about would have meant a worthless or fool or folly. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. Okay, there you go. Folly. See that? Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. But I, your maidservant, did not see the young men of my Lord whom you sent. Because she's anticipating David's going to say, well, if you knew this, why didn't you do something before and save me the trouble of getting all my men coming here? We got other things to do. We got battles to fight. We got a lot going on. Why didn't you take care of them? So she's anticipating that and telling him, look, I didn't know about it when it happened. It was only told later. Now, therefore, my Lord, as the Lord lives, and as your soul lives, since the Lord has restrained you from shedding blood and from avenging yourself by your own hand, now then let your enemies and those who seek evil against my Lord be as Nabal. Now let this gift which your maidservant has brought to my Lord be given to the young men who accompanied my Lord. In other words, take this stuff for your men. Feed them. Please forgive the transgression of your maidservant, for the Lord will certainly make for my Lord an enduring house, because my Lord is fighting the battles of the Lord, and evil will not be found in you on all your days. In other words, I'm helping you too. If you don't kill him, then you won't have to answer to God for that. If you don't kill my husband. Should anyone rise up to pursue you, to seek your life, then the life of my Lord shall be bound in the bundle of living with the Lord your God. But the lives of your enemies he will sling out as from the hollow of a sling. She probably knew David was pretty good with the sling. David's reputation had preceded him. It's a shame it didn't make more of an impact on Nabal. And when the Lord does for my Lord, according to all the good that he has spoken concerning you, and appoints you ruler over Israel, this will not cause grief or a troubled heart to my Lord, both by having shed blood without cause and by my Lord having avenged himself. When the Lord deals well with my Lord, then remember your maidservant. In other words, when everything goes well with you, which it surely will, kind of think of me when you do that. Then David said to Abigail, blessed be the Lord God of Israel, who sent you this day to meet me. And blessed be your discernment. And blessed be you, who have kept me this day from bloodshed and from avenging myself by my hand. She brought him to his senses. He was taking his own vengeance. And she's brought him to his senses, and he realizes, no, I'd be a fool if I did that. I'd be a fool like Nabal. Verse 34, nevertheless, as the Lord God of Israel lives, who has restrained me from harming you, unless you had come quickly to meet me, surely there would not have been left to Nabal until the morning light as much as one male. In other words, lady, you got here just in the nick of time. So David received from her hand what she had brought him and said to her, go up to your house in peace. See, I have listened to you and granted your request. So step one of her mission is accomplished. She has turned off the wrath of one man. Now what's going to happen with the other man in her life, her husband? Verse 36. Then Abigail came to Nabal, and behold, he was holding a feast in his house like the feast of a king. And Nabal's heart was merry within him, for he was very drunk. So she did not tell him anything at all until the morning light. But in the morning, when the wine had gone out of Nabal, his wife told him these things. And his heart died within him, so that he became as a stone. About 10 days later, the Lord struck Nabal, and he died. So David didn't have to take his own vengeance. The Lord took it for him. And Nabal's gone. And here's a very wise woman. And she has an entirely different effect on two men. Her own husband, who has every reason to trust her because he's had plenty of time to see how intelligent and shrewd she is, how wise she is in the ways of social relations, knows how to get along, knows how to do what's necessary in a crisis, knows how to act quickly. But Nabal can't appreciate any of that stuff because he's a knucklehead. David, on the other hand, he was a hothead, but Abigail's wisdom calmed him down. So we're talking about decision making. Abigail certainly made wise decisions and acted promptly on those decisions, but I'll have much more to say about decision making and what we can learn from Nabal and Abigail next time.